Right guys, epic players here. How are you all doing? Today I wanted to do a kind of a build video actually. Now I've been using a skill weapon damage kind of hybrid, skill damage hybrid build for a very long time on heroic. It gets through content really easily, and so today I just wanted to go over that build. I've seen a lot of build videos recently and I don't think I've seen one the same as this. It's one similar but not the same, so I just kind of wanted to go over it and show you what it is all about. And I can promise you guys, you're going to do an incredible amount of damage, not only from your skills, but from your weapons actually. You're going to do a lot of weapon damage. So yeah, let's just get straight into this, guys, and you'll see what I mean here. So to start off with, weapon-wise, we're using the mechanical animal, and I'm going to explain to you why, actually. We'll come back to that piece. I'll explain to you why in a minute. You can see the build on screen here. It's a skill and a weapon damage hybrid. As you can see, we've got 4 skill tiers. We've got 1 blue, and then we got 3 reds on here. So we'll start off with the chest and go from there. So the chest piece, I'm using Hannah U. So as you can see, for one piece you get 10% skill haste, which is important with this kind of build, just because you want to be able to get back your skills, obviously, as soon as possible. Now, in terms of the attributes, we've got skill damage, which is, of course, important. You're going to want to get as much skill damage as possible, wherever possible, really. Skill haste and then skill haste. And again, you want as much skill haste as possible. You want to make sure that you're getting your skill backs as soon as possible, because the times when you don't have your skills out is when you're the most vulnerable. And because this build requires your skills to do most of the damage, you're still going to put out damage, but your skills will do most of it. Not only that, but they kind of take the attention away from you. Then those kind of 10 seconds where your skills are out of action are where you're most vulnerable. So you want to keep that down to a minimum. Now, in terms of the talent, I would change this if I could. Now, I've got Overwatch. After staying in cover for 10 seconds, increases you and your allies' total weapon and skill damage by 12%, as long as you remain in cover or cover-to-cover move. So, if I could change this, I would change this to kinetic momentum. And the reason why is because kinetic momentum can get you up to 30% extra damage, skill damage that is, and also up to 60% repair skills. Now, whilst repair skills aren't that important, that 30% extra damage is really strong, and it's better than something like glass cannon, because you don't have to worry about taking that 60% extra damage on perfect glass cannon. That is, that's 60% extra damage. But for the purposes of this build that I've been running, I've been using Overwatch until I can find a piece with kinetic momentum. So if you've got a piece like that, then that's what I'd recommend using. Now, if we move on to the mask here, we've got one piece Wyvern Wear, because you get that 10% skill damage. I've got skill haste, skill damage, and skill haste. So, you know, pretty obvious here what I'm going for. I'm trying to get our skills back as quick as possible, trying to do as much skill damage as possible. Now, in terms of the holster here, I'm actually running a Fenris holster. It's got weapon damage, headshot damage, and skill damage. Now, with this build, you're not going to get a lot of crit. You're not going to get a lot of crit damage either. So actually having something like weapon damage, especially if you're running something like the M1A, which I am, is really, really good. And so that's why that's on there, although that would be the best roll for this piece. I've ran skill damage on here as well. Again, for a hybrid, I could run a red roll on here, but like I said, crit damage or crit chance, it's just not worthy of this build. It doesn't really make much sense, to be honest. Having an extra 12% crit damage is going to do nothing, but 10% skill damage is going to do a lot more. So that's why we're running that, and you get the 10% assault rifle damage with that, which again is important when I'm running mechanical animal. In terms of the other red roll, I've got Fox's Prayer knee pads. Again, it's got that 10% rifle damage, which is going to be important with this build. It's got damage to targets out of cover at 8%. You're going to find that this is very useful with this build, and the reason why is because your skills will force a lot of the NPCs out of cover, which means that this is going to be useful a lot of the time. Plus, it's probably one of the best, probably the best damage attribute in the game, so it's important to have it on this build. But we've also, again, rolled skill damage, because, again, you don't really need crit chance and you don't really need crit damage on this build. Skill damage is way more important. And then for the last piece, we've got another piece of Hannah U, giving us that extra 10% skill damage. It's got skill haste, again, and skill damage. Now, the last piece on here is the Memento backpack, and I want to quickly talk about this piece. So, in terms of attributes, I've got 12% skill haste, and you'll see in a minute that my skills are almost down to 10 seconds, pretty much. And of course, with this, you get kill confirmed, which is a very strong talent. This is probably the best backpack in the game by a mile. Now, obviously, for the first kind of buff that you get, the short-term buff, you get that 5% weapon damage, bonus armor, and skill efficiency, as you can see on the talent. Now, I'm running 3-piece reds here, so I actually get plus 15% weapon damage, which is basically like having another red attribute on this claim, or another core red on this build, which makes it, again, really, really strong. It basically puts it up to 4 reds, 4 yellows, and 1 blue, which is really, really strong. We also get 10% bonus armor, which again isn't that important with this build because you're going to be doing a lot of cover-to-cover moves, and so bonus armor isn't important. But you're going to be getting an extra 20% skill efficiency, which is, you know, skill duration, skill damage, and skill haste. So you're going to be doing an extra 20% kind of damage with that short-term buff for 10 seconds. But more importantly with this build is you get that long-term buff. Now that's 300 seconds, which is a very, very long time. 300 seconds is 5 minutes. And if you're playing through heroic control points, you know, you're looking at probably, depending on the control point, you're looking at anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes to do a heroic control point. So this could be active, or will certainly be active for almost the entire time. And you won't even need to refresh it, basically. So for this, you get 1% weapon damage, 1% skill efficiency, and then plus 0.1% armor regeneration for 300 seconds. Now, if you get those 30 stacks, then you're getting an extra 30% weapon damage, which means that you're effectively, at that point, when everything's buffed and everything's on the go, you're going to be looking at basically 6 core red weapon damage attributes for this build. You're also going to be getting another 30% skill efficiency, so that's 50% basically skill damage with this when those short and long-term buffs are active, and then you get 3% armor regeneration as well. So really, really strong. Now this will require you to obviously collect trophies on death, which in many ways is why you don't really want to run something like where is it here? I forgot the name of it. Yeah, Perfect Glass Cannon. You don't really want to run something like Perfect Glass Cannon because you'll get shredded easily. Having something like this Overwatch, where you have to remain cover to cover, is actually pretty good because you can do those cover to cover moves in order to get those trophies that are needed for the build. And of course, when you're at 30 stacks, you can leave cover more often. Just bear in mind that you will lose that total weapon and skill damage. So all in all, you're going to get, if this Overwatch is up and you've got these 30 stacks up as well, then you're looking at an extra 62% skill damage, which is really strong. You get an extra 12% weapon damage here. And not only that, guys, is if you are not a solo player and you're running in a group, then this Overwatch talent does apply to your group as well. So you are giving kind of a group buff as well, which is really, really good. And you're not going to get that from something like kinetic momentum. That's purely just for you. So weapons-wise, I've ran Mechanical Animal. Now, the reason I'm running Mechanical Animal is because of Future Perfection, which gives you that extra skill tier. Now, as you can see, I've got 4 skill tiers on this build. Now, I'm running Technician, which means that I've actually got 5 skill tiers. So all I need is that 1 kill to get me up to 6 skill tiers, which would put my skills at the maximum. Now, getting 1 kill in any situation in this game is very easy. With something like this assault rifle, you just find the first red bar, take them down, and there you have it. You've got your 6 skill tiers. And again, this is for 19 seconds. You'll find that what I normally do is I normally use this initially just for the red bars. I then go straight over to my classic M1A to use In Sync, which again grants you an extra 15% skill damage and extra 15% weapon damage, and then that's doubled. So you get an extra 30% skill damage, extra 30% weapon damage. So you're doing crazy amounts of damage with this, not only from your weapons, which is important, but also from your skills. And the reason why weapon damage is very important with this, guys, is because you are going to find at times enemies will run on you, okay? You're going to get situations where enemies will flank you, where they'll get behind you, and your skills just can't quite cope with it. So having no damage, no weapon damage, is really going to be, it's going to be one of those situations where you just simply can't take them down. With this build, you're going to have enough damage that if someone does flank you, even an elite, then on heroic, then you're going to be able to take them down pretty quickly with your buffs up. Even without your buffs up, actually, you'll be able to take them down pretty quickly, which, again, it's all about survivability. And for the most of the time, like I said, your skills are going to do the majority of the damage. They're going to take away the aggro from you. And so that you can focus on damaging those enemies with your weapons, applying those buffs like In Sync, Future Perfection as well, obviously, which allows you to go into overcharge, which is, again, really, really strong. Overcharge on any of these is really strong, and you can do it once every 60 seconds, 90 seconds, which for, if you're doing a control point, you're looking at 5, 6, 7 times that you can proc overcharge, which, again, is really, really strong. Now, I wouldn't run this here. I wouldn't run this TD1 card custom. It gives you 1 skill tier, but you don't need it for this build because I've told you you're going to be using Mechanical Animal. The reason I've equipped it here is so that I can show you the damage on my skills. But just before I do that, the weapon I would actually be using is this Maxim 9. This one particularly because it's got Perfect Spike. Headshots grant 25% skill damage for 15 seconds. And you can just apply this to every single enemy that your skills are attacking. Just apply this every single time. You do so much damage. When you're fighting against like a heavy on Heroic, that takes a lot of damage. Using In Sync, having your, even without having somewhat like Overcharge, but using In Sync on a 6 skill tier kind of build, with this amount of weapon damage plus Perfect Spike, they're going to go down in seconds, guys. I can promise you that, seconds. But for the purposes of showing the damage on my actual skills here, then, we've got the turret here, which has got 113,000 damage. It's got a cooldown of 13.3 seconds. And then, of course, the drone here, which has got 70,000 damage and a cooldown of 13.3 seconds. That actually goes a lot lower than that. I believe the cooldown goes down to around 10 seconds, along with the turret. Damage-wise, this goes up to like 85 plus, I believe, damage. It's probably even more when you've got everything active. If I can get it all active in one go, guys, I'll show you. But when it's all active, honestly, guys, the numbers that you're doing on your skills are crazy. Because you've got 6 skill tiers, which is crazy. You're applying an extra here. You're applying an extra 20% damage from the short-term buff, an extra 30% damage from the long-term buff as well. If you've got Mechanical Animal, then you're getting Overcharge as well, which, Overcharge is crazy as well. As you can see here, your striker damage goes up to 175%, plus you're getting an extra 30% skill damage from In Sync. And then if you do use the Maxim 9, you'll get an extra 25% skill damage here. So you're looking at 150% skill damage, extra skill damage. And with that, you're also going to get a crazy amount of weapon damage. So this is an amazing build, guys. I promise you, this is an amazing solo build. It works in a group. You might want to customize it differently for a group, if I'm being honest. Overwatch works well for a group as a solo player on heroic content. You don't even need to move. You can sit in one position, throw your skills out, get that initial kill, get to 6 skill tiers. I mean, you could even just sit in cover with this out. You're going to be at 6 skill tiers. You could swap these two around, okay? You don't even have to have Mechanical Animal on. You can just use the M1A. You could use something else. I don't know, maybe use something like a Nemesis just to kind of pick off enemies or whatever. But you can use whatever you want, really. It's up to you. It's completely up to you. But the way I run it is Maxim 9. I swap these two around. I like to have my, the first weapon being the weapon I'm going to use initially. So that's why I run the Mechanical Animal here. I swap to the M1A and I do a lot of damage with the M1A because not only is I'm using, obviously I've got Overlord. So yeah, amazing build, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, please let me know in the comments below. If there were any changes that you'd make, let me know as well. Like I said, the only one that I would really consider is Kinetic Momentum. But until the next video, guys, epic out.